Great, Shanita. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Anna-Marie. A very good morning, colleagues. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. I would like to greet the LIASA leadership, interest group chairpersons, chair-elects, the LIASA National Office, and you colleagues, all those present and in absentia. I thank you very much for giving us your time this morning. And I'd like to welcome you to our seminar today. And hopefully you will get a lot of insight into what it is we are hoping to share with you. And as you know, we have experienced something that I don't think we've ever had in a very long time. And that is why I thought it quite apt that we share our presentation today called The Next Normal, how we as libraries are adapting to change, given what we have experienced this last 2.5 years, actually going on to the 3rd year now. So having said that, I just want to note that this morning, it promises to be quite exciting for us all to see how our colleagues have adapted to this change and what they are doing to make libraries accessible and for our patrons not to feel as if they are alone in this environment. And although COVID-19 has been so unpredictable and it has been an experience for everyone, libraries will continue to maintain a stable and supporting environment for all those who need them. So having said that, and not wanting to waste much of your time, I'd like to say, I welcome you all. I forgot to introduce myself, and I'm so excited to go on with you all. My name is Shanita Bim. I am the chairperson of PACLIG National, and I thought this would be a good way for us as the national committee to bring us together on this platform and to share from different spheres of our country. We've had Gauteng, we've got Limpopo, we've got the Western Cape, and we've got KwaZulu-Natal. So our speakers are vibrant and dynamic. And without wasting much time, I'm going to introduce to you our first speaker, who's Mr. Jeff Inyoka. He is somebody who I know needs no introduction. He is quite a dynamic person. So just a brief bio of Jeff before I hand over to him. He's a qualified librarian with over 20 years experience, having worked previously in eThekwini and University of KwaZulu-Natal libraries. He currently works as an e-learning manager for the city of Johannesburg. He has a library science degree. He holds a management development program certificate, and he's also currently registered for a master's degree in ICT policy and regulation, focusing on digital literacy at the University of Witwatersrand. Jeff is no stranger to the LIS sector. He is very active and has been recognized both locally, nationally, and internationally for his work in our sector. Colleagues, without further ado, I'd like to hand over now to Mr. Jeff Inyoka. Thank you, Jeff.
Hello, everyone. My apologies for the red green screen. I don't know, it's a screen I was using for a presentation and I never changed it. So you can't see my face, it seems like. Can you I'll try and fiddle with this, but thank you so much for that introduction. And okay, so Shanita, should I share my presentation, or am I allowed to share my presentation?
Yes, Jeff, please go ahead and share.
Okay, just 1 second. Right. Okay, share screen. Okay, you can all see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so
yes.
much for this opportunity, Shanita and the team. I just prepared this presentation just to share where we come from post-COVID and what we had to do from 2020 when we experienced COVID. Basically, it was more about transforming libraries. Excuse that spelling error there. So I will also end with the pictures just to show what we've done. Okay, so for us, we needed to transform, and digital transformation has been the focus point for us, which is where we integrate digital technologies in all areas of library work, resulting in fundamental change in how libraries operate and bringing value for communities, thereby increasing efficiency and productivity. That is the digital transformation definition for us in the library space. And we are responding to the smart city vision of improving youth employability, entrepreneurship, bridging the digital divide among citizens and enabling citizens to gain access in the knowledge economy. But more importantly, the digital economy where everything is happening online, transactions, communications, and this is what COVID forced people to do, to do things online. So obviously, this transformation was a response to the COVID disruption, and we wanted to reposition our library department. So this is the journey that was disrupted in 2020, where libraries were closed and communities couldn't access physical books and library spaces, and the recovery has been very slow because of the unstable lockdown regulations, but at least this year, the government has really opened up all industries. So what happened is that we saw the digital economy booming. As I mentioned earlier, most people had to do things online. Some of our programs in libraries were put on hold. That was the impact of COVID. Communities couldn't fully participate in the digital economy because people didn't know how to use things like Uber, online learning, etc. And our circulation of library material also was affected. Some of our staff didn't have skills to work with digital content and in the digital space, and connectivity was also an issue for communities. So in terms of our transformation focus, these are the 4 areas that we have focused on in our digital transformation strategy. How do we improve user experience? How do we improve employee performance in terms of our librarians and their skills? And this is the area that I think libraries in general need to explore. How do we use data in libraries to plan and to make decisions? How do we use technologies to collect data and to understand our communities better? This is the area that we really intend to explore more, but I'll get into that. Competitive advantage, we are competing with all these digital spaces, platforms, and what do we do? Do we embrace them or do we come up with our own things? So that's where we want to transform. So in terms of library services, since 2021, these are some of the things that we've done. Public access and circulation of material. We introduced the website cojelearning.org.za. You will notice that it's called COJ e-learning for a specific reason that we wanted to move away from just having a library website, Joburg Libraries. We wanted it to embrace the new era of online content and learning online. And within that website, we offer access to Overdrive, which might expire or might have expired, but it's been a huge attraction to people to be able to access ebooks from Overdrive once they register online on the membership link on the website. And we also introduced the online courses that are free from Google, IBM, Microsoft on the website. So this is what was exciting for us. We also, in terms of community outreach and enrich, in terms of not being able to find or access communities, the Facebook video series, which won us an award, is one thing that has really made us visible and also taught staff members how to create digital content. If you go to our Facebook page, Joburg Libraries, you will see a lot of videos there, but I'll share a picture. Social cohesion activities in 2020, we did a senior citizens digital skills competition where we invited youth to do videos showing us how they are teaching senior citizens digital skills. So it's a social cohesion in a sense that it brings together these generations as they work on this competition, as they get to understand each other, because young people tend to be stuck on their mobile devices, and the elder generation doesn't understand what they are doing. So it was a very interesting competition. We hope to do it again. Mobile literacy is our program, which is teaching people how to use mobile devices productively. We started in 2018, but in 2021, we introduced different programs such as a storytelling relay, where we asked school learners to create stories in groups of 5. One tells the beginning, the middle, and the end. So it's a relay in that sense. They pass the story to each other, and then they record themselves telling the story and share the videos in a competition. So that was exciting. We hope to do it again. Story creation using the African Storybook. It's an online app. It's an online platform and an app. So they write stories and stories get published there. So it teaches them how to use mobile devices and also to publish. Mobi Readathon is a new program that we introduced this year. Very exciting for high school learners, because we've always struggled to find high schools, to work with high schools, but we introduced this one. It's a reading program where they have to read stories from online, from a website, and then they answer quiz questions, and then we get results of who passed, how many marks they got, how many pages they read. We get an Excel report on that. So we are continuing with this program. We work with an NGO that provided us high school kids in one space. But this time around, more regions have embraced it. They've actually found high schools, but with a small number of children from each high school. So that seems to be working. It's taking off. So these kids will read stories that we will supply, and then we will have a final day for them. Publishing support collaboration with the local universities, another exciting project that we started on. If you go on our website, we've got resources for people who want to get published. And then the digital literacy program is also a big deal for us. We want to see how we can empower communities with digital skills. So we've got a coding program such as Thanks Coding. I think some of you know about it. We also are trying to promote online courses. We've trained interns. We had 106 interns, and we introduced them to these online courses on our website and digital transformation. Lastly, it's the transforming library services in terms of staff capacity. We want to continue reskilling and upskilling library staff, including hiring processes. For example, as I mentioned the interns earlier, our interns consisted of interns from other sectors as well. Majority was library science students, but we also had interns from other sectors, because we're looking at a situation where if you have someone who is a library assistant, but they have a different degree, how do we explore their skills in terms of what they can bring into the library if they've got a degree in psychology, for example. So we're looking at how can we utilize those skills of those staff members who are not qualified in library science, but they are library assistants or other positions. We also have staff members who registered in 2020 during COVID. We introduced them to the Digital Innovation Honors Program at University of Witwatersrand, and they are finalizing their research. It took a bit longer because of the COVID delays, but we're proud that they are doing artificial intelligence, they're doing robotics, they're doing all these new technologies in terms of the focus of their studies. So we're hoping they'll be able to introduce this concept to other learners, other staff. So I'll just quickly go through the pictures that I was talking about in terms of what we've done. This is the Facebook page. These are some of the videos. This is our digital storytelling in libraries. We do it on Facebook, but we also do it in some libraries. And this is when these are the young people who won tablets that were sponsored by MTN as part of the Senior Citizens Digital Skills Competition. They submitted winning videos, and 17 of them got tablets. This was during this is when COVID was at its highest, around August 2020. This is our website. As you can see, there's information on libraries membership. We ask librarians to send articles in the blog. We have free digital content, which is those online courses. We have that publishing page. Donations are welcome, and we also promote job opportunities. This is the coding program that I was talking about. We started it in May. The finals will be in August for all these 7 schools. And then this Mobi Readathon, these were the finals. These are 40 kids who participated. We organized a central venue for them to come now and do a quiz. Now, so basically we matched both the digital reading and the traditional quiz. So they were quizzed on the books that they were reading online. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope I didn't take too much of your time, but yeah, that's the end of my presentation.
Wow, thank you so much, Jeff. That was awesome. Here, colleagues, we see somebody who's passionate about community development and the productive use of digital technologies and the role of creative arts in addressing social ills. So Jeff, I want to thank you very much for your presentation. You are phenomenal. And I know we are still going to be hearing a lot about you, and we are going to be seeing a lot of developments coming from your side. So thank you so much for sharing your innovation with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Shanit.
Colleagues, moving on to our next presenter, he's Mr. Kola Kolofelo. He's a librarian at the Mapadile Public Library, and he is a graduate of the University of Limpopo. He has a bachelor's degree in social sciences and a postgraduate diploma in information studies. He's in our profession now for 9 years, and he worked previously at the CSIR Special Library for both in-service training programs and internship programs. Mr. Kola is also currently the chairperson of the Liasa Limpopo branch, and he's a member of Liasa Repco for the 2021-23 term, and he has served as the Liasa branch chair-elect and branch secretary. So without further delay, colleagues, I hand over to Mr. Kola, who will share with you his library innovations. Your platform, Mr. Kola. Thank you.
Good morning. I just want to test my mic and make sure that you can hear my voice.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, first of all, Shanita, and I want to put it to the audience to say that, as Anna-Marie said earlier, you know what, if you see, like you can see there's a light behind me. So I'm not an angel, but I may appear an angel as the light may present me. But again, thank you very much, Shanita, for inviting me. It was really an honor, hence why when you said to me, this is what you are planning to do on national level. And I said, you know what, I think only best ideas and discussions and what debates I can only take through discussions. So I'm just gonna share my screen. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen? That's it.
Yes, all good. You just need to put it in presentation mode.
I'm trying, I'm not sure what's happening. Put this. I'm just gonna stop sharing. Check this one. That's it. Can you see it from your side?
No. You had it on just now and it's gone now.
Can you see it from your side?
Yes, you are on. You can proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much, colleagues. This is what I'll be sharing with you. PACLIG webinar, the next normal. And again, colleagues, I thought it's more important that I share the background of the library that I'm working on. Of course, we're having 2 staff, and we serve about 27,600 users per annum, and mostly being entrepreneurs and school learners. And of course, we also have various programs that we embark on. And you can see on your left side, there's a library there. We'll come back to it as why is it actually a container. And colleagues, when I was offered an opportunity to come and present to colleagues, and looking at the situation which COVID-19 has actually, or the pandemic itself, with the challenges we have experienced, and I thought that it's important that we do remember, or rather we realign ourselves as to what is the actual vision that we want to reach, or we see as a library sector. And I do understand that COVID-19 itself, you know, what some other librarians got more confusion as to how do we proceed. And I thought that COVID-19, yes, the worst of it is that it took some of our families, some of our friends, community members. And again, on the other side, I took it as a way that in a form of a challenge to say that we as librarians, we as, let's say, libraries, are we actually providing services that are actually sustainable? To say that even now, if we get hit by another pandemic, will we sustain, or will we actually remain on our feet as librarians? And of course, not forgetting the National Development Plan 2030 that says, I mean, by 2030, you should be having a local library filled with a wealth of knowledge, of course, professional librarian, ICT in community, and also both the United Nations Agenda 2030 and National Development Plan 2030. They all preach one aspect, which is actually a stakeholder partnership, which my presentation is specifically focusing on partnership, to say that if we are actually to move forward and actually provide services that are sustainable, providing skills or through library trainings to our communities, those particular set of skills, they should also be sustainable. But the only way to sustain that, colleagues, as libraries, as solo institutions, we cannot do that without partnership. And yes, of course, libraries do matter. LIASA has a role to play, also realigning our intervention or our efforts through the national, with the National Development Plan 2030, and also not forgetting our sustainable goals. And also, more importantly, in terms of partnership, corporate social investment, colleagues. Now, if you can check on your left, you will have our container library. This is a library which actually gave birth to the current structure that we are having. You can see it on your right side, current library structure. Now, what happened, if you have seen on my last slide, to say that the National Development Plan says that by 2030, each and every community should be having its own library and a professional librarian. And by the pace which the government is building libraries, I'm afraid we cannot see that vision. And the only way to at least attempt to see the light of National Development Plan 2030, it can only be through partnership. And I'll give you an example with the current library that I'm working in now. What happens is that the current structure that you see on the right side here, it was actually being built through corporate social investment by one of the local mines. And I must also emphasize this, colleagues, to say that from the container library to this formal structure, this was the intervention of a library assistant, not a professional librarian, a library assistant. And to see that someone who's, was just sitting in this hot container, experiencing all sorts of unbearable weather conditions. She said to say that, you know what, through partnerships, private sector has a role to play in terms of contributing to library services within the province. That is in Limpopo. I'll give you an example. And now, he approached the local mines that, can you see, this affects us in terms of building.
Kola, we can't hear you.
Hear me now. Shanta, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can. Thank you. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Where did I lose you?
Partnerships through corporate social investment.
Yes, yes. One of the reasons why I'm emphasizing partnership, because now we are saying that we are experiencing the new normal, and it's quite challenging to explain the new normal if ever the number of libraries do not satisfy the communities that we live in. And again, even if you look at the current speeches by our politicians, they no longer say that the National Development Plan says that we should be having one library in each and every community. Now they're saying that in each and every ward, there should be a library. And you look at one ward, like the one that I'm residing at, one ward has possibly more than 9 villages. And we expect one library to actually satisfy the information need of, community members coming from 9 villages, of which that's not promising at all. Now, for instance, I'll give an example with our current, a provincial government. They are not actually coping in terms of providing or rather building library services and also building of libraries. And also low funding for our libraries is quite a challenge. Unclear strategic plans from our government. Government can only build, maximum of 5 libraries in their medium term plan. That is within 5 years, they can only build maybe 5 libraries, and of which they may not even be complete by that time. Hence why, like, I would emphasize colleagues to say that I think it's high time that we advocate for building of libraries through corporate social investment, so that when we say that we want to express the new normal, then we have structure in places. Yes, COVID-19, it did hit us, and like I've said before my presentation, to say that it was a way to say that US libraries, or the current state of library services in the country, are you providing services which are actually sustainable? Are you providing services which, community members can actually survive on their own? Of course, by the time we closed, and I think most of you do realize that we closed for quite a long time. And from where I was sitting, I knew that, you know what, there are no library programs being run by that time, no access to information, and again, no access to library space. There was quite a few interventions by our provincial government. They did try to come up with ways in terms of reopening libraries, but as we were receiving the intervention from provincial government, like for instance, the library book return. And the question is that if you are to have this kind of implementation where clients will be returning books and then they'll be putting them in one, just a drawer. And the question is, where does the safety of librarians in terms of contaminating COVID-19? Now, the picture on your right, that's when we as staff to say that, you know what, how about we design some sort of quarantine zone where we have boxes, and to say that we separate books in terms of return dates. If books are being returned today, then they will be put into one box, and then the following morning we move them to another box so that they do not come together with the ones which will be returned, later on the following day. So these are just part of intervention that we tried, but then more importantly, colleagues, in terms of corporate social investment, I think we closed for over 12 months. And it was only through corporate social investment that we were able to open. Like for instance, we had a problem with our library in terms of structural requirements. Colleagues, I think it's high time that when we are being told that like a new library is being built, or when we receive new plans of actually building library, either by the municipality or by the provincial government or by the private sector, it's important that such plans are being evaluated by professional librarians. The reason why I'm saying this is that we understand the importance of space as librarians. We understand the importance of safety in the library. Like for instance, the library that I'm working in, it's only one way in, one way out. There's only just one door. The question is in terms of emergency, how are we going to survive? How are we going to ensure the safety of our users? Now, this is one of the structural requirements for us to open, to say that if you are to open your library, you should actually make sure that you also have the emergency exit, and we don't have that. And hence why we are just operating for the sake of actually trying to assist our communities in terms of accessing information through library services. And of course, there was the picture that you see on your right. This is the management from Boisendal Mine, who came to the time when the library was closing to say that we as the private sector, how can we actually assist you? And I'm happy to say that they came forward to say that we didn't actually have a supply of water to library building, and they did assist that in terms of renewing the bowl and other equipment. And also the library had no electricity, should I say. We experienced various defaults in terms of electricity issues, and I think they made sure that they come forward in terms of assisting us. And I can definitely say that we are open now because of the intervention from mining sector or private sector. And one other thing that we're actually hoping, and we're still in talks with this private company, is in terms of structural requirements or structural modification, to say that we have made requests for at least if they can actually extend our library so that we will be able to actually accommodate more users within our library. And more importantly, there's a promise, that's hence why I put them in red, to say that they will be assisting us in terms of updating our collection through municipality. And yes, after that, we were able to open our library. And I had the latest speaker, and he was actually emphasizing more on technology. And what we did was that COVID-19 did challenge our services, or rather our library services, to say that the kind of services that we're providing, can the community really survive on their own? Can library users with the set of skills that they receive from the library actually survive on their own? We have one free library training or instruction, or where we provide computer literacy training. I think it takes about a month, and thereafter we would give our participants or other community members with certificates. Now, I was impressed during the COVID period, and especially in the early ages, to say that most of our community members will actually come and rather queue or rather stand outside the library building and actually access the internet through the free Wi-Fi through coming from the library, and that's when we as library staff said to say that, you know what, we are proud to say that the services that we are providing to our community members are actually sustainable, in the sense that even during the COVID period, they were able to use the skills which they were actually acquired through the library trainings to actually survive on their own, especially on the digital world. Now, I think we are the only library which provides this library training or library instruction in terms of end user computing in our province. Because the reason why, or one of the reasons which motivated to this program, was that it saves staff energy from time to time, allows patrons to provide transformed, it allows library staff to provide transformed library services, and we have literate patrons, and also allows effective access and sharing of information among patrons, and also ensures sustainability of patrons' literacy skills during the pandemic. Now, we had a challenge where community members will actually come and say that, can you please type me a CV? Those colleagues, I think we really need to put a greater value to our own profession. The reason being that we cannot wake up in the morning, from 5 a.m. I think your own college, and then you come back and you actually type CV for person.
Kola, I think we lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. And just a quick reminder, you just have under 5 minutes left. Thank you.
Okay, where did I lose you?
Library instruction and training.
Okay, yes, I was saying that, like, as librarians, we need to, or information professional, we need to put a greater value to our profession, to say that we cannot say that we as professionals to say that we will engage in services where we type CVs for our patrons, because by that I don't think we'll be doing the greater benefit for our users, because immediately when we do, minor things like typing CVs for our patrons, we're creating actually a culture where patrons, will not get to use to a situation where they can actually survive on their own, especially on digital environment. And of course, during the holidays, times like this one, Honorable Minister Bekitela will always say that, you know what, if you leave your kids alone, make sure that they lock windows when parents are always away. But we here at Mapudle Library, we always say that, you know what, during holidays, come bring your children to library where we have a movie session. And we also believe that during this time, remember, we create an environment where actually kids will actually have access to, should I say, a safe, or yes, should I say a safe or harmonious media content. And also we provide a career guidance in terms of development, where we try to increase employability among youth, create a pool of skilled youth for surrounding companies. Yes, we belong to one of the towns where we are actually surrounded by actually more of private sectors or mining companies, and in most cases they will need skills from our community members. Then we thought that we as Mapudi Library, we need to contribute also to the National Development Plan that says emphasizes the socio-economic development through library services, and also access to the internet, where we encourages development of ICT independency in our children. I'm sorry, because of time, I'll just have to, from time to time, try to skip some other points. And of course, also in terms of the ECD, we do understand that we as professionals, we provide support to education, and that can only be done through library programs. And of course, more importantly, which is actually my favorite, in terms of the reading club, we have created an Xbox reading club, where we would actually try to introduce new library collection to, especially children coming from our community members. But then the background motivation by that will be coming from a FIFA or the Xbox gaming. And it just reminded me when I was actually growing up from my childhood, to say that when we're a group of 5 or 6, if one of us owned a PlayStation or TV game, that particular friend will always dominate in terms of confidence among us. I will even try to wash dishes for that friend so that we can actually play the Xbox. But then we as Mapudi Library, we are there to bridge that gap in terms of building confidence in every children around us. And more importantly, colleagues, we're not forgetting the challenges in terms of unqualified library staff, disparity in salaries, low funding for library and library services, contract librarians, access to libraries in rural areas, because it's hard to actually think of the new normal if these are actually not answered. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Kola. I think you've offered us a great deal of insight into your programs and activities. And I just want to emphasize the point that you made at the outset of your presentation, that being partnership and collaboration. I know all of you colleagues that are here today know for a fact that those two words, including networking, are sort of like the gospel terms that we use in our field, in the LIS sector, that if we want to progress in the work that we do, we should not be working in silos. And I think Kola has made it quite clear in his presentation that we have to ensure that the library spaces are indeed safe places where our patrons can come in and know that they will be protected. So having said that, Kola, well done. Thank you very much for your presentation. It has been phenomenal. And I'm sure the colleagues would look forward to engaging with you once we are done with our webinar this morning. So thank you very much. We really appreciate what you have shared with us. Colleagues, without further ado, I want to hand over to our next presenter. She is Sunita Richard. She's a public librarian. She hails from Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal. She currently works at the Eastwood Library. She has more than 26 years experience in the library sector, and she holds a master's degree in library and information science. Sunita is a very active and passionate outreach librarian. She is strongly involved in community engagement. She's also the chair-elect of the KZN Branch Executive Committee. She has been well known in that she has been the recipient of numerous awards. And without wasting much time, I'd like to hand over to our colleague, Sunita Richard, who will share with us her innovative programs that she has conducted since the onset and during the COVID pandemic. So without further ado, I hand over to Sunita Richard. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sunita. You may proceed. We can't hear you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Shanita Beam. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you
Okay.
now. Clearly.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Shanita, for affording me this opportunity. And I like the fact that you said that I'm a passionate librarian. So I've got so much to say, but in so little time, but I'm going to try and just condense it a bit. The next normal, everyone, that's the buzz presently. But for me, as soon as we went into COVID, immediately for me, it was to rethink the way I was going to provide my community with the service. And I think it comes from the fact that I love my community that I work in, and I really feel for them, especially with the fact that in my community, there's so many social ills. And somehow or the other, I always have a sense of social responsibility towards my community. And when buildings closed in response to COVID-19, immediately I contacted my staff. And thank God that we are always working as a team. And so we decided to think of new ways to come up to serve our community, because we knew for a fact that this was not going to go away very soon. Hence, myself was not much into technology, quickly grasped that, and we started pushing through with reaching out to our community via technology. So from 2020 to present, we've really relied on technology heavily. But before I go into that, I just want to give you a brief background of Eastwood community. Prior to apartheid, it was a major colored community. Post-apartheid, it is now more of a Black community and a lot of foreigners and a few coloreds. With saying that and keeping with that in mind, there's a lot of social ills. Substance abuse is really a massive problem. Teenage pregnancy, high unemployment rates, high crime rate. Many children, there's many child-headed families, which is really sad. There's a high level of school dropouts. There's also a high level of elderly abuse. So if you listen to what I'm actually saying, this community has many problems. Water crisis presently, Shanita is very aware of this. We have a huge water crisis as well. So with all of these issues, I certainly as a librarian will not leave the community to just stand alone and face them alone. And my standing is always that we are here as the library to support you. And thus, together with my staff, immediately we formed WhatsApp groups for the community members, because we have our database, especially you.
Sorry, we lost you.
Hi, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so my staff and I we used WhatsApp as a major tool, because in our community, obviously not many people have access to internet, much data. WhatsApp was a cheaper option to make use of. And because we already had registers of people's contact details, we quickly formed WhatsApp group with community members and started assisting them as much as possible. Especially when it came to fake news, because the community became initially, when COVID came in, there was a lot of misinformation. So very quickly, we started verifying a lot of misinformation. We started assisting people with food parcels, informing them of community pickup points where they could pick up food, whether it was milk and bread. We were on board to help. With our counselor, we started working with the pastors, the counselors, and that's how we were able to assist our communities when it came with providing the basic need, which was food for them. Thereafter, with the Social Security Relief Grant being introduced, we saw that as another avenue of how we could help our community as well. Sharon, who's our cyber, and myself and Luanda, another staff member, we started assisting people via WhatsApp and going online and registering their ID documents, contact details onto the data system so that they could get social relief grant. And we're quite amazed because majority of the people that we assisted got through and got their grants. Online vacancies, we started circulating online vacancies, helping people with online vacancies as well. We found that municipality submissions of water and lights became another issue, which we quickly came on board with, and we started helping the community with that as well. COVID-19 vaccination registrations, we found a way that we could also be a help there again. So wherever there was an opportunity, the library quickly grasped the opportunity to start assisting members of the community with all online applications. Then it became about online job interviews for community members who couldn't actually go in, but there was a lot of online jobs we heard about as well. So I was given a laptop, thanks to my management, and we started utilizing this laptop that I was given for members of the community to come in and do online interviews as well. The primary and high school, when school reopened, we reached out to the principals, to educators, giving our cell phone numbers, forming WhatsApp group with parents, educators, and the children. And by doing this, we were able to reach out and assist parents and children when it came to school projects and homework as well. So internet in the parking, the Wi-Fi in the parking lot also became very useful because we informed the public at large about this access of free Wi-Fi. So people were able to come in around, and it extended not only in our parking lot, but also further out on the road as well. So people were able to come out in their vehicles or just come out and utilize it on the outside as well, due to the restriction of access into the library. So as we really pushed so much to get this primary school and high school involved. We would take photographs of projects from the books, send it to them. We would Google stuff for them, download it, print it, otherwise take a clip of it and forward it to them as well. Early childhood development, we started, I got my girls together, we started doing live performances of storytelling, posting on YouTube. We also posted the same live performances of our storytelling on our WhatsApp group, which we formed for creches especially, and for our community group as well, where we knew that there were children as well. The things that we touched on was on cultural stories with moral goals. We read and circulated every Wednesday to creches and parents. We also began teaching phonics, numbers, shapes, and colors, also formed part of this active group as requested by teachers as well. So the library workers had so much of fun doing all of this, and we are still continuing with this on presently as well, although we have reopened the library because the creches are so eager to receive it every Wednesdays. Youth empowerment. This is also a program that is sustainable, that we continue with this program, and we have people that we also work with to assist us with this program as well. More than 1,000 youth from 2020 to present were assisted with this program. WhatsApp groups were formed, online assistance, social security grant for the youth as well. 157 youth between the ages of 18 to 35 were assisted. Career guidance via WhatsApp, 597 youth were assisted. South African youth essay, South African youth, the educator assistance post, we're able to assist 69 youth from that. The Central Applications Office database, here again, we were on board with it. For grade 12 learners, 450 youth we helped to register online. NSFAS grant for tertiary studies, 187 youth from our assistance, they actually received the grant for studies. So as you can see that our staff are doing an absolutely amazing job, because when we help, there is feedback and responses from the youth who we are assisting to inform us of the outcome as well. Grade 12 government past year examination papers with memorandums, 415 youth were WhatsApped with memorandums and the past year exam papers. We held hybrid workshops on voting rights when it came to voting last year, just to inform and educate the youth on their voting rights. So you can see the youth empowerment program has been a real success in our library because we try as much as possible to reach out and to ensure inclusivity of the youth. A public librarians WhatsApp group was also formed during COVID-19. When we first heard of it, me as the librarian, I felt that we had to reach out as a professional organization, especially with LIASA, and as an individual myself. I felt that this was a perfect opportunity for us to educate ourselves during this time as well. So I began to do little workshops here and there wherever I was free to do so. Also, this was also a means where librarians are sharing information. And till present, it is still ongoing. So this is an idea for people that can do it throughout our country, is to form WhatsApp groups with librarians and to keep everyone informed, sharing information, helping each other when there's a need to help each other. And till present, the WhatsApp group actually motivates other librarians, because you'll find librarians are even posting their programs that they are doing within their libraries. Rediscovering from 2022, as of the beginning of this year, full out Eastwood Library, we decided that it's time now to get back to our normal life and bring back people into the library. And we started going back to our programs, obviously within the regulations of COVID, but it was a true blessing because people, once we started networking and getting people, our stakeholders back on board, we were so blessed to get each department to say, yes, we are here. Yes, we want to make a difference. And yes, we are glad to be called out. So as you can see, we had a human rights event. The target population was the youth, where we had NADAL, which is an association of attorneys involved. We had the magistrates involved. We had the health sector involved. We had private hospital, government hospitals involved. It was all about educating the youth on their rights. We even had an author who came through as well, who also did a magnificent account of her book that she has published. Computer training, full blast back into our computer training, because we knew that our community, a lot of people were unemployed due to the looting that occurred in last year, which left a lot of people unemployed. So we started our computer training full blown, and this has been a success. I think it was more than from 2021 December to present, we've already trained more than about 90 people. And from this 90 people, we've also worked with the online job applications for them. And there was quite a few of them who've actually successfully been employed. The next one, another youth program as well, where we approached Williton Oil. It's a huge company here in Pietermaritzburg, involved in the production of oil. So we went, we spoke to them, we explained the situation of the Eastwood community, especially with the youth, the high unemployment rate. They were amazing in the sense that they came out, offered bursaries. We got 25 members of the youth enrolled in this skills development program. And it costed Williton Oil, I think it was 25,000 per student to be enrolled in this program, a huge success. They graduated successfully. The event was held at the library, as you can see from the pic as well. From this, all of these youth were employed, and Williton Oil also placed them into jobs. Also, going back to Library Week, we saw this as another opportunity to work with the creches, with the foundation phase, because we know how critical this age group is. So we went out, we did fun activities. We got them dressed up as superheroes. In total, I think we did, it was over 1,500 of children that we did address at the library, where they were invited to the library. They had to dress up and come. It was absolutely amazing. You can see I'm dressed up as Catwoman there as well. From the library itself, we've also decided to utilize the space in the library. You can see that Addiction and Recovery Group is using the library. It's called Project Exodus. If you go onto the internet as well, they're on the internet, Project Exodus, which is a support group for people who are recovering drug addicts or substance abuse. And this is a wonderful program that has been running from 2021, it commenced. Here, once again, I approached the pastors fraternal to come in to utilize our library and to work with us to try and help reduce substance abuse in this community. The youth, again, opening our doors out to them to say, come, do what it is that you have to do, and at the same time, exposing our library. You can see there's a dance club that uses the library. And with this dance club, the children get so excited every Thursdays to come here and to watch this group of dancers who practice and train at the library. When schools opened up in 2020, it was time to go back to schools, to call children back into our library, because I know for a fact, it was not only my library, but majority of the libraries was very quiet. And when I saw that, I said, no, it's time that we rethink and we start marketing to the schools again. So once again, partnered up with the pastors, with the authors, with the poets, with the social workers, we formed a little committee together, a team. We went out to schools. At assembly areas, we were addressing the children at the assembly. And thanks to the teachers who worked with us, we've got our students back into the library. And this has actually our circulation. We see improvement in our circulation. We see improvement in our membership stats as well. So this was a major success. Together with going back to the schools, I decided to do reading challenges and took the reading challenge to the schools and said, we're going to do for grade 7. And this was an amazing project because I even got sponsorships from local stakeholders who sponsored some books. They sponsored some educational material, dictionaries, which we're able to hand out to the schools as well. For African Week as well, we got the museum to get involved, to come into the library, invited the schools. You can see I've used all different methods to try to get learners back into the library. And on this day, the learners really had fun because you can see they brought traditional equipment. The museum had brought all these instruments which children were actually able to touch and feel, and they had a wonderful time. Not leaving anyone behind, we reached out to the Senior Citizens Club as well, because like I said earlier on, that there's a high level of elderly abuse here as well. So a Senior Citizens Club has been formed in the community. It was formed a long time ago. We just revitalized it, brought it back together, spoke to members in the community, and we got everything running. So the library from our side, we go in there, we do board games, exercise. We got our local government clinic to come and do health screening on every Wednesday mornings to do health awareness. We get local finance people to come in and do financial awareness. We get SASA to come in to speak to the elderly. We get the SAPs because of the abuse, and there's so much of violence, domestic violence that's happening within their homes. We get them to come and talk to them, advise them, teach them the right channels that they can approach to help solve the problems that they do have. Social workers have done an outstanding job with counseling of the elderly. So there's been some really breakthrough. And the same elderly come in with their grandchildren to the library as well. So on all round, it's been fruitful. The elderly, we give them a block loan as well, where they are able to read whilst they are there at the club. They can take the books home, come back, renew it, get new fresh books. So these are the ways that we have tried to build on stats, and also at the same time try to help our communities. Our winter holiday program was awesome we just started it on I think it was on the 27th of June. We ran it till yesterday, it completed. Like you can see again from my pictures, it's all about partnership. We have to partner if we want to do something. Yes, we may not have the salaries. Yes, we may not have the funding. We may not have a lot of things, but what we do have is we have contacts. We have other government people that we can work with, rope them in and push forward. And you can see, once again, I got the museum, I got the fire department. I've got even the local guys who are bikers to come in. We did our own science projects to teach children about chemical reaction. I mean, it didn't cost us a lot. We got people who do beadwork to come in. It was exciting, fun things. Children danced, they sang. It was the community at large. We're so impressed because we had loud music. We had a speaker. We were calling children from the community. There was just the sense of, a warmth, happiness, love. And the community really got to see what the library has to offer. And these are the things that we need to do if we want to reach out to our community. There's nothing that gives you much pleasure as a librarian to see the smiles on people's faces, whether it's young, whether it's the youth, whether it's the old. But that is what we work for, to change people's lives and for people to know that the community, that the library is the heart, the center of the community. And this is what Eastwood Library continues to show. In conclusion, I want to stress that our local stakeholders, community engagement is of utmost importance. Being friends with everyone, every leader, whether it's the counselor, whoever it is, stakeholders, the drug lord, whoever it is, the gangster, we have to be friends with all of these people, because it's the same people, it's the same biker who belongs to a gang that I invite to say, come, show our children what the good things that biking offers. And, it was amazing. We have to engage with our community. It was the same bikers who gave the meal for the children on that day. It was the same drug lord who gave me a sponsorship of bread. It was the same, the church people who sponsored. These are the things that we have to work with people. We must also, another important point, we must know what the needs of our community is. We need to assess our community. But by speaking to our leaders, our stakeholders, our local shop people, our local clinics, we need to speak to them to know the needs of the community. Speaking with our community on its whole, we need to know what the needs are. We need to change our mindsets as well. If we cannot change, if we are not flexible, we will never change our libraries, we'll never change our communities, right? We need to advocate, we need to speak out. Speak to our community members, speak to our counselors, speak to the important people in management, wherever, speak to all the big shots in businesses. They must know what we are doing, market ourselves, put ourselves out there. If you go onto my Facebook page, all my projects are there, and people, I always say, go and have a look, you'll see the work that we are doing. Make a difference in your community, change our communities, change the lives of the people. Most of my programs are sustainable programs, long-term, ongoing. We don't discard of them. And the reason we are able to do that is because I have the support of community leaders, and that is most important. Be a yes person. When your community comes to you with a problem, yes, help them. If they want to use the library, say yes, you may, within limits though, but yes, let them have access. I mean, that is what it is about. If you find that you don't have ideas, Google ideas, copy, edit, and paste it, make the ideas your own, but do something in our libraries. We have to change it. We cannot let our libraries be a big white elephant. No, we can't. And most importantly, you have to be passionate about what you are doing. Working with your staff is very important. because your staff members working as a team, if you're not working as a team, you will never succeed. Starting with your staff firstly, and then with community leaders. You have to work as a team. We cannot work in silos. I know there's a lot of NPO organization or NGO organization. Join them, find out what is it they're doing. Don't duplicate programs, rather do programs with them, work together, because only together can you ever succeed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Shanita. This was a great opportunity. I hope I've inspired or you've taken something away from this, each one of you. I am on Facebook. I put on my the first slide. I do have my Facebook address there. Please Google, see Facebook me, see what I do. And if you're more than welcome to call me as well or email me, and I'm willing to help wherever I can. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Thank you, Sunitha. I think that was beyond inspirational. Colleagues, when we talk about moving from the next normal, when we talk about the next normal, I think this is to the next level. And the innovative side comes through where we are addressing social responsibility and taking the services of our libraries to the communities, not only about the issue and return of books, but making the library space from just being this quiet environment to a vibrant hub of activity. And I think this is what Sunitha has shared with us today. And I'm sure that all of you that are here present in this webinar would have something to take back on this. Colleagues, I just want to say that Christelle, our next speaker, is having serious challenges with load shedding, and she might not be able to be on time to get on with her presentation. She is extremely apologetic. However, with permission from the National Office, I thought if from the last three presentations, if people have any questions, any comments that they would like to share, and hopefully if Christelle is back on, she can share her presentation with us. So it'll give us some time now to engage with each other and perhaps just pass on some comments. So with permission from the the Liasa National Office, if it's okay, can we open the floor for comments or questions or anything that might be of interest that has arisen from the previous three presentations? Anna Marie or Kakiso, I don't know how you feel about that.
Yes, Shanita, we may open the floor for comments and questions, but I also think that Christelle
Awesome.
is available. I can see that she is in the room with us.
Oh, she on?
Yes.
She just sent me a message to say that she's struggling a little bit.
But yes, we will continue with questions and comments.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Kakiso.
I'm saying we may continue with questions and comments.
Oh, all right. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Colleagues, do any of you have any questions or comments that you'd like to pose to our speakers whilst we are waiting for Christelle to join us, if at all she will be able to? Is there anybody in the amongst the participants who'd like to share any of their experiences perhaps, or maybe have a question or two for our speakers? Yes, I see somebody does have a question. I think I saw it's Louise. Is it Louise? Yes, you may proceed. Yes, you may unmute. or Louis? Louis Duplessis.
Hi, yes, this is Louis. I don't know if everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry, I did not test the speaker. I apologize for that. I actually do have a great amount of questions after everything, but I think the most pertinent one I have is for Cohesion. It's on the topic of library instruction. I'm going to assume that this is also library instruction for your library users. My question is this: if you're trying to actually get more engagement from your users, that they are actually trying to use your services more, do these processes of just having instruction for them, teaching them about the library and also what the library is actually there to do, does this have a positive impact in how they use our services? Or is there a way that we can actually use this to get over that hesitancy that they have to actually engage with and use the library?
Yes, Louis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes, can I ask you to repeat the question, please?
Sure. Essentially, this was off of the presentation, the segment you had on library instruction. I work in a corporate library. So the biggest problem here is most of my users are very, very hesitant in actually wanting to use us. So what I'm curious about is if we take a program of library instruction, of teaching them to, well, use various sources, but use various services, and more importantly, using the library. Is this a way of actually addressing that hesitancy? Because what I'm also afraid of is that if we become a bit overbearing, that it just makes them even more hesitant to use our services or just go to Google instead.
Yes. Okay. I will try to answer that with the practical motivation surrounding the whole program of library instruction. We have a fully equipped computer lab, né? But computer lab, and our users will probably pass computer lab and come straight to us to say that, can you please type for me a CV? And now the question was that we have, let me say, IT infrastructure, I mean, which cost about 600 to 800,000 for the department. And if we don't, if users, they don't use it, it means that those resources remain underutilized. Now, that's when we said, let's create a library instruction in terms of training our users in terms of being comfortable around digital world. Now, immediately after the first group, when we were done with the first training, the computer lab remained more utilized than ever before. Now, instead of you as a professional librarian or myself as a professional librarian typing for a CV for a patron, they can actually proceed to computer lab and actually do the work on their own. Unlike when we as staff devote our time in terms of doing stuff for our users. But then the answer is yes. If you get to train your users or your staff, you usually get more people coming into the library.
Okay, and then the only follow-up question I would have to that is, would the sort of structure of these training programs, do we need to make it very basic so that we can attract as many users as possible into taking these classes or instructions or whatever? Or do we need to try and preempt what they might want to use the library for and just scale it to such?
In most cases, it depends. It depends on you as librarian as to the amount of knowledge in the technological sector. Like for my instance, I have a bit of background of technology. So in most cases, I will drag it in terms of using some other advanced programs. Like for instance, the certificates that we give to the students, I create them myself, so the department doesn't, or the employer doesn't get to spend a cent in terms of printing and the designing of certificates.
Yeah.
Now you'll expect that the skills that you possess, you can also transfer it to your users. Like for instance, one thing that I said on my, I think on my second slide is that most of our users are actually entrepreneurs. Now you need to actually teach, or rather train your users in terms of, developing quotations and invoices and all other business activities surrounding it. So now the level of your competency will also reflect on the level of your training. So it doesn't have to be limited to the use of the library, but also when these people, when they leave, when these patrons, when they leave your program to go out there in the corporate world, they must actually, be employable and actually, be competitive.
Yes. I'm making notes. I'm making notes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You
I think
so
this
much.
answers my question.
Thank you, Kola. Colleagues, I think Christelle is ready. And I think this is a conversation, perhaps, Louis and Kola, you can continue it. It seems to be something that involves a little bit of engagement. So maybe we can continue this even after our webinar. But I would love to hand over now to our colleague, Christelle. She's just sent me a message to say that she is connected. And just a little bio on Christelle. She's currently the head of professional services and programs for the Library and Information Services Department of the City of Cape Town. She has been extensively involved with mentorship and coaching programs for AFLIA and also for LIASA. She was chosen to be a trailblazer, a part of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Global Libraries Program. The purpose of the Trailblazers was Librarians Leading Change. She's been a member of LIASA since 2007. She's also been our previous chairperson of PACLIG, and she was awarded the Librarian of the Year award. She's been part of the planning committees for IFLA and extensively involved in outreach and community services and inspiring her teams to do the best that they can. So without further ado, colleagues, I'd like to hand you over with great respect to Christelle. And I'm sure she has an awesome presentation for us. Christelle, we are ready for you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful.
And we can see
What
you.
a morning. And Shanita, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm not sure how to share it. Let me just go back to that. So if I go to share, your screen sharing. Just check.
You are here. Yeah.
We need to make sure
Can you see it?
the document is open first. Now we cannot see it.
Okay. Because I've got only one screen, I'm trying to do both at once on one screen. I apologize for this. Not sure how to do this. Share screen.
Kagiso might be able to just take you through the steps, perhaps. Okay, there you're coming on, I think.
Am I coming on?
Yes, now you can from beginning.
You are here.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so this morning was quite stressful. As soon as I went on, we had load shedding, and then suddenly you know, the ball drops in the wrong way. But thank you for this opportunity, Shanita, to talk about libraries, my passion, and especially what public libraries are doing. Unfortunately, I am not allowed to represent the City of Cape Town in this talk. So I thought I will talk about libraries in Western Cape and what I've seen um, libraries have been doing in the last year or so. So we all had challenges, but I was blown away about things that the libraries have done, even though we were in difficult situations. So I'm just in no particular order. I'm giving a few ideas that I've seen, and I have to mention here that um, there's quite a lot of libraries that got Facebook pages, and if it wasn't for that link to the communities and that they could have the Facebook links, I don't think the communities would know what was happening. So in most of cases, if I wanted to know what's happening, I would have followed in Facebook, and I've seen how engaging the libraries have been on Facebook with their communities. So, for instance, here I'm just mentioning a few school libraries where I can. I will try to mention names of libraries, but I will just speak in overall about libraries in general. So there's a 1,000 Stories Before School campaign in Western Cape, and it runs with quite a lot of partners, partners like Makulu Trust, Whitworks, Department of Health, Department of Education, and of course Department of Library Services. And the launch of the 1,000 stories happened in February, and from there it was um, send out to all libraries to see how they implemented it. So although there was a guideline on the 1,000 stories and booklets and a whole toolkit that's given to libraries, libraries could implement it any way they wanted. Uh, what was interesting is that was particular for, from zero, from pregnant mums, teaching pregnant mums how to do book sharing with the unborn baby, sing songs, rhymes, everything like that, to the to school going to 6 years old, where we teach children how to get ready for school. So are they school ready? What do they need to get there? And each booklet on the way showed new ideas for the parents and the caregivers on how to engage with books and your child and information. So it was really the before read kind of interactions. Some of the libraries took this further, and for instance, in picture one, this library linked up with Flourish that have got a specific program for pregnant mums, and it's a 20-week program. And the program was done at the library, and at the end of it, with the library booklets, the 1,000 stories, the mums were treated to a baby shower. And at the baby shower, they were handed their certificates and everything, and their baby gifts to say that your baby is now ready to now get their Libby card. Libby is the mascot for the City of Cape Town libraries when Libby is busy. And they made videos and photos that was posted on Facebook to say this is how you go to your clinic. And in this case, in the middle photo, Libby was found by the clinic sisters as sound and growing very healthy and a good girl. So the 1,000 Stories Before School posters were sent out to all libraries in Western Cape, and the information is available for free for all libraries who would like to be interested in this program. And it was lovely how to see how they each implemented it. Other thing that I saw on Facebook was the Mandela Day Beanie Project. As part of the 1,000 Stories, there was incentives given, and we asked the community to get involved in knitting beanies and handing it out to clinics and creches as soon as we hand out the 1,000 Stories booklets as well. This was very popular. Libraries jumped on board, communities started knitting, there was knitting clubs in libraries during COVID, and when libraries were closed, knitting wool was handed out to the communities, and needles presented by community members, and then the knitting pattern was also given to libraries and communities to say, would you like to do this at home if you can't do it at the library? A lot of older people jumped to this opportunity, and then they delivered the beanies that they've done. We had a lot of companies that donated the wool and the knitting needles to ensure that our public was involved still. So that worked very well because we had WhatsApp groups, we had Facebook pages where we could send this information through and make sure that our libraries involved. When the libraries were open again, this was wonderful. We received more than 4,000 beanies that was handed out to clinics on Mandela Day last year. During COVID, it was very difficult to reach our patrons, and then the libraries did a lot of online storytellings. With that, we did a lot of workshops on how to do online storytelling. So each library had a different way of approaching it. But I'm particularly proud of the Whimsical Wednesday story time that run right through the COVID years when the libraries was closed. And we stopped that when the libraries opened again. But libraries went on with their own online stories, and they took it different ways. Some of our librarians are very shy to be right in front of the computer. So they found a different way of doing online storytelling by just showing the book and their voices was in the background. Some of us were very approachable and were happy to stand in front of the camera, and our libraries were very involved in that, our librarians. What I loved is, for instance, for World Read Aloud Day, I found more than 50 libraries that did online storytelling in my searches. So that was just in Western Cape. So I was very happy about it. And that was original work, not even ones that they shared from each other. So this was really working well for us. And as you can see, Libby is everywhere. He was also involved in quite a few of the storytellings. During the quiet times, there were story packs handed out when libraries were closed, when we couldn't be at the library. So there was little handbooks, reading lists hand out, online books was given through the Libby app, and we made sure that the kids were doing something at home. This was also working that when the library opened, the children came back and started using these books. So some of these books were literally activities for children to do at home, that we give a piece, for instance, to write, to read, and then they had to do comprehension, coloring in, guess, how would I look as a superhero? What is your superhero? Things like that, for instance. And when they were done, they could drop off their books at the library and get incentive through the window. That was very interesting, the way that they did drop off or takeaway services from the library's front doors when people couldn't get in. And especially during the winter, the long winter holidays, we really did the bingo one, where we made sure that we prepared, for instance, libraries did book packages with books, 12 random books that was chosen, that was handed out to a library library patron that brought their library card to the front door. So they didn't have the opportunity to choose their own books, but we made random selections and send it to them.
Christelle, sorry, your
Yes.
slides are not moving, Lovey. I think you're just stuck on one slide.
Oh, how do I get that then? Because
I think we just got
on
to
my
move
side,
your-
I'm sharing.
So can you help?
Are you still? Am I still on the front one?
Okay, there you go. Now you're coming along. Now you're on book tasting.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait, let me go. So right, can you see that one? I'll do it in this format then.
Yeah, okay, book tasting, yeah.
Are
Okay,
you still
this is
in
your
book
first
tasting?
slide. Now you're on the first slide again. If you can just go down.
Does it say, okay, go down here? Can you see Mandela Day?
No, we're still seeing, right, there we are. We are here now. We're seeing Mandela Day now.
Text. Okay, so Mandela Day and then online storytelling.
Yes, we're still stuck on Mandela. Right now we're on online storytelling.
Oh, it takes a while, I see.
Okay, yeah.
Then reading programs.
Yes, perfect.
So, okay, so I'll just have to give it some time to
Yeah.
see on the other side.
Sure.
Yeah, the load shedding. Okay, so let me continue. Give me a second to the videos.
Yes.
Can you
we're
see
on
the
it now.
video one?
Yes,
Okay,
we can.
good. All right. One of the things that we've done as well is the videos right through the year. Libraries have done beautiful videos on their cell phones, and they've done how to visit the library, you know, by doing, people could get into the library or the front door, but they couldn't browse and go into the library in most circumstances. So there was libraries that does the wonderful displays and a video to show all the books are lined up at the windows of the library when you get near the library door. So it was like a pathway of books that you can choose. And literally, the librarian was sitting on this side of the window, showing the books, and the patron on that side say, yes, that one, I would like to take that. And then we will bring it to the front and then stamp it and give it to the patrons. So it was very interesting the way that they created ways to make sure that patrons can have books. The other thing was that we did tiny desk concerts. The libraries were closed, so the video team could go in and the musicians, and they could use the library as tiny desk concerts where they can play music, and they recorded it and sent it out on their Facebook pages. So we had, for instance, people that showed how to play a saxophone and step by step, and they used the library as background. So this was interesting that the library showed that this is the material they do have in music material, and here's the person showing you how to play music. We also had some of our musicians of the areas coming in and doing specific concerts with themes according to the days when the library were closed. As part of that, we did a library people video with an original song that was written by and produced and everything by library staff. They had a chance to practice together, and they worked on this library song, and it's on YouTube. It's really catchy and different, so we love what we've done there. And we also had with the 1,000 Story launch, the most important card in his life, a video for TikTok that we've done, a very short video for TikTok that really worked. It's also on YouTube and TikTok. I've seen so many libraries that could use their Facebook this way by producing videos and putting things on that I'm very proud of. Some of our libraries did online resource sharing, literally videos to say, this is what a library will have, and this is how you can access our information online. And here's information that you can use. If the library is closed, we will still online. Here's our OPAC, and this is how you use it. This is how you can get to information. And they had literally information literacy videos to show you how to get to information that is vetted and that is true facts. Especially for children with assignments and doing online schooling. Libraries were very innovative in doing things like this. One of the libraries even put assignments and things on a memory stick and took it to the library where they could access it there because they had no internet access. So the library would create, the library and the schools worked very closely together. They either put on the whimsical Wednesday story times for the creches, and they gave it to the memory stick to the creche to look to watch well every week on a weekly basis. Instead of we couldn't go into the schools, so story time was limited for us, but the memory stick went to the school and they could still continue with story time and information literacy that way. One of the things I've seen was also libraries that did STEAM experiments and crafts and step-by-step sections on Facebook Live. I was the young librarians, especially, I think, is very innovative, working on the online sources. I'll just give it a second to move on to the next one. The youth specifically, can you see it, Shanita?
Yes, Crystal, we are on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Um, so in Western Cape especially, I saw wonderful things. Digital literacy certificates was handed out. Young people at work trying to connect the people with work in some of the libraries. Unemployment was a huge thing in Cape Town, I assume everywhere. This is something that libraries really took on by connecting with employment agencies, with jobs out there, with advertisements. They even had WhatsApp book clubs, WhatsApp clubs for employment groups to make sure that the people are linked and know what's happening. One thing for youth that stands out that I know that Jeff is also doing is the coding workshops for youth, and also we're doing girls who code boot camps, and there's quite a few libraries with their partners busy with the coding processes for our youth in our libraries. Some of our libraries did so many things online and had really had a youth community that they linked up via different sources. So I'm very happy about that. One of the things that I loved was the writing workshops that was done for youth, using blackout poetry and what was the other one? Short stories, writings for youth that was happening at libraries, and that was done online every week, where they meet on Zoom and they talked about the new writing skills. That was very interesting for me as well. Moving on to some holiday fun, I just want to mention that some libraries hand out story packs, because with the book, the story, they handed out the story for the week plus something for the children to do, that was color in and pictures and stickers and everything for kids to do, especially the young ones during COVID, because they understand that these children had to be kept busy. When we had programs outside for holidays, I loved it that they had they used stickers and flowers and everything when they started using Facebook, to show that these kids' faces can't be used on Facebook, but we are still show that we have done things during holiday periods. So this picture was taken somewhere in Western Cape, where the kids, for instance, did playing games outside for the holidays, but you can't see the children. But at least it's out there that people are bragging about what they do. One of the interesting things was also a lot of new programming was done outside, and for instance, the story walk was done where stories was taken out in the park and literally put from tree to tree. Was literally the page was fastened on the tree, and you could follow the story quite far from each other, but you could still follow the story and at the same time walk a little bit outside. So that was also one thing that I saw that was really inspirational. I don't know if you all know about the Yeboneers, and if you've got something like that in your provinces, but in Western Cape, quite a great area of Western Cape is busy with the Yeboneers project. Now, that is where young unemployed youth get a chance to work in libraries. It's a skills development project for 18 months where the youth get a chance to work in libraries, and they get a skills development as they go along. Some training, orientations, and it's linked with the 1,000 Story library project, where the youth are teaching children how to read and the culture of reading. reading at the same time. But they also gave these youth chances to go out to schools. They gave them how at home learning experience, and then they had to go out. They also connected with old age homes and older people staying at home that was alone, that they had a chance to go and visit and just make sure that they are mentally healthy and better. So these youth were actually trained to get involved in their communities and be on the ground doing things differently, even though the libraries were not always accessible. The youth were there, and they had very bright t-shirts that you can recognize them, and they're busy everywhere. And as soon as you open Yebaniers on Facebook as well, you could see the lively young presence everywhere, and it represented libraries that I'm very happy about. I hope I'm moving on to some online activities.
Yes, you are on that.
Thank you. So some of the online activities that I saw was online law clinics workshops that was done in quite a few libraries, where people could weekly go on the Facebook pages, and they could follow the series. Each week had a different theme about questions and answers about a specific theme. I am in law, specifically done by a lawyer, and people could phone in and zoom in to ask questions about that particular issue. There was quite a few quizzes that was done online and on Facebook that I could see that I really loved. Some of the libraries had Saturday quizzes that we all go on Saturdays to see if I can be the first one to complete the quiz, because I also want the gift, although I've never had a chance to win it. Some of our libraries did puppet shows and then taped it and put it on Facebook and put it out on videos for everybody to see. So that was just some of the things that I've seen that I loved. One library in Overberg did the um, book tasting workshops. Loved this, that the kids had to first taste the book while they're reading the book before they could taste the eats that was about the book. So the tables were set up like a real dinner table, and the children were taught how to do etiquette as well as doing book reading. And after they tasted the book and they found the book all right, they could then go and then taste the real food that was put on there. So it was a whole experience for the children. Loved that idea. I'm moving on to staff development. So what I've seen so far and what I've experienced is that we had interest group meetings where librarians could weekly or monthly meet each other on different interests like music or children's teens interest, and what your collections are about or your interests and services. And then that was engagement to keep the librarians also very engaged and motivated during this time, and mentally healthy about that. I'm still doing something, and that we shared ideas, and we found out how we can help each other to make sure that we are linked and connected. Um, we're also very proud that yesterday at 19 of the City of Cape Town um, librarians completed and graduated in the Silk Academy, strengthening innovative library leaders. So that is also something that happened right through, and it was a few weeks program that happened. And lastly and randomly, I just went through everything I could find that was interesting to me as a librarian, but also community member. What did I find? That libraries were available, libraries were visible, libraries were doing it and acting things out there. So randomly, what I saw was, I can see the top photo, there was one of the libraries that did a whole Ramadan and Eid program where they, while the children had to, while Eid was happening, the the children were invited into the library to talk about their religion and beliefs and show other children what it was all about and the different ways of approaching it. Also, pirates in the park, loved that idea, and it was a treasure hunt where the children literally had to go from tree to tree looking for stories and links and clues to get to the treasure. So quite a few libraries used June month as Children Find Free Week. Really loved that idea. Soccer reading club. If they read, they can then play soccer afterwards. So the two is linked. And of course, the Festival of Children Literature, the Open Book Festival podcast that was done, really interesting and different for me. And we made sure that the librarians are involved in those links and make sure that our profession stays healthy. And lastly, I'm very proud at that of the librarians who wrote children's books during lockdown. So they did not sit and do nothing. They also did something to make sure that they are relevant and use this time to do something different. So thank you so much for this opportunity just to talk, and I can talk a lot about our programs and what libraries are doing. And I'm very proud of where we are and what we have achieved, even though we didn't think that we achieved something. But as soon as you start looking around, you could find that a lot was done by our libraries, and I'm so proud of that. Thank you, Shanita, for the opportunity.
Wow, thank you, Christelle. Indeed amazing. You know, it just goes across the board that each one of you out there is amazing. And as much as some of us do not share, we do know that our work is so recognized. So thank you, Christelle. Thank you for taking the time. I know you are very busy, and for giving us this in the midst of your load shedding, in the midst of all of it. I just want to say thank you very much. Colleagues, before I hand over to my colleague Manda, I just want to say from the presentations that you would notice that each one of them connected. And that is what we are all about, finding that common link. And that is what we have done today. From the first one, we talked about digital technologies. We talked about partnerships and collaborations. We talked about addressing social responsibility. And we are doing all of that. Some of us are just a lot more vocal. Some of us are just a little bit more subdued. But at the end of the day, if we are making a difference in the communities that we are serving, we are doing a sterling job. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your time, for being with us. And I'm sorry that we have run out of time for questions, but I would like to say, if you have anything that you want to request of us, or you have any questions, please get in touch with me or our colleagues. And that is what we are all about, sharing information. None of what we do is for our sole benefit. We need to move away from working in silos. We need to come together to share our programs, share our activities, and become a united front in all that we do. So I want to thank you for your time, and I want to hand over to my colleague Manda, who will do the vote of thanks. Thank you, colleagues. Manda?
Sorry, I was unmute. I was muted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Shanita. It was very interesting today, the whole presentation and everything. I first want to thank Shanita for organizing the workshop for everybody, and the Liaza office staff, Kagiso, Lebo, and Anne-Marie for all your hard work, and Kagiso especially, everything you do with the academy and the reminders that are sent, and the programs every month. We as the members of Liaza appreciate that. And then to all our speakers, every presentation was very interesting, and I think I'm sure all of us that attended learned a lot today, and some of us also saw stuff that we are also doing at our libraries. Jeff once again showed us the productive use of technology and the digital transformation that all of us, and some of us are a little bit behind and some of us are getting there, but we are all getting there. And Kola also showed us again about partnerships and how to use your partners in your communities and to development plan 2030 goals. And Sunita's presentation
Lost you a bit, Manda.
showed us how we can soon. Sunita showed us about the WhatsApp groups that we can use to connect to each other and engage our communities, take your services back to your community. And Christelle also showed us interesting things about resource sharing, online resource sharing. The Yemunia program and the online workshops are also very interesting. So thank you very much to all our speakers, and thank you very much for everybody that attended. Thank you.
Thank you, Manda. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you to the library, to the Liasa National Office. I hope you all have a lovely weekend and do enjoy Librarians Day. I hope you have wonderful activities planned, and we look forward to hearing and seeing. And don't forget, Monday is also another program. Please do join in. If you haven't registered, do so. It promises to be quite exciting. So thank you all. Take care and be well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna Marie. Thank you, Kakiso.